Hello friends, we are Wanderers in Black. We like to travel and discover unique and unusual places and have fun along the way. Life is short, so let's seize the moment. Join us for a wander at our next destination. Okay friends, so far this Dublin visit has been nothing short of spectacular. So much history, places to visit, Guinness, and music that connects you with the soul of the city. After an unforgettable day, we started our evening off with the Gravedigger Ghost Tour, recommended by a local friend. Alright friends, we are going to embark on the Gravedigger Ghost Bus Tour. Are you ready for some creepy times? Let's go!
For your health and safety, number one, no walking up and down the aisle while the bus is in motion. Keep all your arms and legs, other parts of your body, tails and horns if you have them, inside the bus at all times. I wouldn't want anyone losing anything. In the very, very unlikely event of a fire on the bus, I'm going to be running down these stairs over here as fast as my legs can carry me.
The tour started off with stories of Dublin during medieval plague times, and there were quite a few tales to be told.
But many people did believe the plague would bring the end of days, and we would set them on fire, because it was believed the fire was a way of purging the air and driving away whatever harmful humours and foul spirits were causing this terrible sickness. Yeah, don't worry. Yeah, okay. Don't worry. It hardly ever goes wrong. Hardly ever. This man is absolutely excited for it. This fella's probably used many of them in your time.
Not today.
Not today. So, don't worry. In case any of you on the bus today are possessed by a demon from hell, you can take a moment and say a little prayer under your breath. If anyone is there, please give us a sign.
Without revealing too much detail, the tour was informative, theatrical, and fun. We also travelled to sites where ghostly legends and tales were intertwined with Dublin's dark history. This included more fun and theatrics.
You know, I hear it's actually P. Diddy wearing that mask. Right.
Apart from the grim infamous sites, our tour also stopped by the Gravediggers pub that borders Gothic Cemetery. The Gravedigger Tour is an interactive horror theatre on wheels. The vintage-style bus is deliberately dark and eerie inside. Actors in costume tell tales while the bus drives through haunted parts of Dublin, adding to the immersive terror. The next morning, we had a private tour of Dublin's Mount Jerome Cemetery, guided by a local friend. This cemetery contains the resting place of Joseph Sheridan Le Fanu, the writer of one of the earliest works of vampire fiction. But there was so much more to this historic cemetery.
What's really unique about the cemetery is it's a Victorian era grave cemetery, but the monuments are generally very Anglo-Irish. When it was consecrated, there was only the Church of Ireland minister, the Catholic bishop or archbishop, whatever, wasn't invited, so it kind of became Protestant predominantly as a consequence. But today it's multi-denomination, so there's Catholic and Protestant burials. There's a crematorium here as well. A lot of modern funerals are creations, basically. What's interesting, this is only something I've learned recently, right? So this artwork has always been kind of denoted as Celtic, right? But in actual fact, its origin is Anglo-Saxon. which is Norse.
What have we got here?
The famous Gothic novelist Joseph Sheridan Le Fanu. I'm sure everybody's familiar with his story Carmilla, which is a tale of two lesbian vampire, which was then made into a film many, many years ago. I think he was one of the first writers to really use the vampire kind of story. Le Fanu is said to have been an influence on Bram Stoker as well, who was also a Dublin man. And this is where he is interred.
Amazing. Hello friends, so we are in Dublin. We've got local Dara. He's going to talk a little bit about how Dublin became an Irish instead of an English dominated city. So what happened, Dara?
Well, okay, so you have to go back like a few hundred years. Dublin was an English trading city. Saying beyond the pale, everything beyond the pale, outlaw territory, which was the Gaelic tribes or whatever, who were constantly assaulting Dublin from, well, the Wicklow Mountains and surrounding areas. But what's unfortunate is in the post-independence period, a lot of the families actually just left and went to England because they didn't feel safe after the 1916 and the War of Independence and subsequent Civil War. Actually, once the British administration left, the civil service remained. So we inherited like an English civil service effectively, and that became part of the organ of the Free State, so to speak. So the city became more, I suppose, Irish over time because of inward migration from rural areas. The Anglo-Irish aristocracy that kind of had dominated Dublin and the Church of Ireland, it started to recede a little bit and it became effectively more Catholic over time. The Anglo-Irish people, they receded quietly in the post-independence period. They were a bit reluctant to kind of stick their head above the parapet for fear of retribution or assassination even. This is why this cemetery is really interesting, because this is kind of like a memorial, literally, to a bygone Anglo-Irish era that's largely forgotten.
It was definitely time for Guinness, and our next destination was the Stag's Head. Inside this historic pub, you'll find original fixtures, dark mahogany paneling, cut glass mirrors, and even old gas lamp brackets.
Hello friends, so here we are. We're inside the Stag's Head, a tavern that's existed in the site since 1780s, with the current premises gaining fame in the 1830s as John Bull's Albion Hotel and Tavern. Also, Irish revolutionary leader Michael Collins was known to frequent Stag's Head during the War of Independence. And some episodes of Penny Dreadful were shot here as well, from Dublin and Stag's Head. Cheers!
Above the pub is a hidden performance space, once used for live music, secret plays, and late-night storytelling. Locals claim the Stag's Head pours one of the finest pints of Guinness in Dublin. The two-part pour, the temperature, the tilt, it's done by the book, and the result is as creamy as folklore itself. Delicious. On our way to the next pub, we were shown a true historic site inside a Lidl supermarket. When the Angier Street Lidl store was being built, archaeologists uncovered medieval remains, including parts of an ancient 11th century church. There are also remains of a theatre that was built here in 1733. Excavations in 2014 and 2015 unearthed over 80 skeletons, mostly dating from the 11th to 17th centuries. so much history with your daily shopping. As you can imagine, there are a lot of pubs to choose from, but we just followed our friend. The next pub was the Long Hall. What a great pub! By the way, when visiting Dublin, we do recommend you go for a walk through the city because there's just so much to look at and discover. Around almost every corner, there's something to catch your eye. A hidden plaque, a crumbling Georgian doorway, a pub older than most countries. The streets are steeped in history, with architecture and stories laid in every stone. And there's always the action of city living.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, okay. I'm sorry, but you mind.
It was dinner time, and of course, more drinks. Our next stop was the Bleeding Horse, another great pub full of history and legend.
Alright friends, here we are at the Bleeding Horse. Step inside a pub older than most countries. James Joyce walked through these streets. Maybe he drank here. The Bleeding Horse isn't just history, it's haunted with legends. The name alone isn't poetry, it's soaked in blood.
We didn't see anything spooky that evening, but I'll tell you what, the food, drinks and atmosphere were superb. Absolutely falling in love with Dublin. Thank you for watching friends, and please join us again for the next episode as we continue our journey of discovery in Ireland. See you soon. Cheers!